What's up, guys? It is GVK Collectibles, and you know what day it is? It is Mythical Mountain Monday, so as per usual, today we'll be actually taking a look at some of the books that I read this previous week for Comic Book Wednesday and whatever. I also did get a few things on the auction, but well, depending on how long the video goes, try to make these videos a little bit shorter because each one goes for around 30 minutes. So with that out of the way, let's just jump into it. So the first book that I read, I read a majority of books, so first one we'll get into, I should say, is Overwatch Tracer London Calling. So this is actually the final part of the 5-issue miniseries done by Mariko Tamanaki and Babstar, who I absolutely love. And it's essentially just the kind of ending of the story about the whole Omnix and the post, like what happened to Manta in the story. So what we learn is Case is actually really kind of wanting a radical movement, essentially, to the Omnix, as opposed to a more peaceful kind of talking that even Manta was familiar with. So it was really, really cool. The art's really, really cool. And we even get Winston shows up, which is really cool. So this is definitely post, because a majority of the series actually follows the line of a lot of stuff from like the trailers and stuff that we've seen. So a big majority of the comic, like I think within the second or third issue, I think actually the second issue, I can't remember exactly, but it's essentially just the story that was told during the trailer for Overwatch back in the day. But the dialogue was really, really fun, and it was also had like Iggy, one of the Omnix that is a friend to Tracer, kind of take up the role of being kind of a peacemaker, and essentially kind of rallying the Omnix to have not so much go to the violent sort of way of like, but more of the what Manta would have wanted. It was a really, really fun story. I really enjoyed it. It's kind of what I haven't played Overwatch in a while. I should actually think about getting back into it, since I have like a PC now, so I can actually probably do some cool stuff on the play on the PC. Finally, I played on my old one that didn't have a graphics card in it, but I was able to play it. So, but yeah, definitely fun. I love the creative team that was on this book. Babstar's art is really, really great and really wonderful. Tracer is probably one of my favorite characters within the Overwatch. She was one of the while she is the main kind of poster child of the series, she definitely has a really cool, interesting story. I loved a lot of this stuff. Overall thoughts on the series, I really loved it. I loved a lot of her and the Omnix, kind of like we get more into the kind of relationship of like where humans view Omnix, because this is post a Omnix war of where they all went essentially kind of crazy. But it is really, really cool. A lot of cool, unique characters. Iggy was a really, really fun character. Case is a very interesting. I don't know if he'll stay around. I don't know if they'll continue to do a sequel series. I kind of hope they do. Kind of following that, but like really, if you want anything within comic book with Overwatch, they don't. It's weird how like Blizzard kind of treats the franchise as they try to. But either way, if they decide to continue these stories, I'm definitely in. So my next book that I read was Sonyaverse. So Sonyaverse is like really ridiculous and crazy. It's very different in comparison to like really any other like kind of multiversal story that has happened. It's not like a Spider-Verse. It isn't like a death metal. It's very, very weird and unique. It's written by Christopher Hastings and art by Pascal Quadrou. I'm probably pronouncing it wrong. But essentially all these Sonyas are transported essentially to hell, and they're trying to kill Red Sonja because apparently she broke her, because that's the thing with Red Sonja, she broke her vow to the goddess of where he can't lay with a man unless she gets defeated in combat, which apparently Sonja has broken, which is very interesting. But it's also interesting too because we actually see previous Sonyas that Red Sonja has killed come back as ghosts, because it's essentially hell. And there's actually a really unique one that's just kind of like, what the hell am I doing here, where it's just a lacrosse Sonja, so it's very, very interesting and weird. I mean, it's a fun, crazy book, like, and just kind of over-the-top ridiculous. It isn't, like, as much as, like, kind of the schlockiness of Vengeance of Vampirella, where it doesn't have really kind of the story of, like, the dark power, like, the superpowers that Red Sonja has currently going on. But that either way, it's a fun series. It's fun and interesting. I'm going to continue reading it till it ends. But yeah, Red Sonja, Sonyaverse was really, really fun. Also, you get main covers are done by Jay Lee, which are absolutely phenomenal, I think, in my opinion. Which, like, definitely check it out. Like, if you are into Red Sonja, it is very unique and interesting for the character because, you know, multiverses are all the big rage right now. So we have Blade Runner 2029. This is another one that I read, and this book, by Mike Johnson, is like, he also did. It's the same creative team from 2019, and they do an amazing job, I think, with this book. It is absolutely outstanding. So what we learn is there is a replicant named Jotun who's actually kind of survived his expiration date because Nexuses only have really, I think it's Nexus 8 actually. Yep, Nexus 8 models that basically they have a set lifespan, then they're decommissioned or like got rid of. But this one, Jotun has actually managed to surpass his lives because Ash attempted to try to retire him in 12 years ago before the story of 2019 picked up. So it is very interesting, and we also see him get onto this kind of I want to say air freighter, which is really, really cool, and we learn more about what Jotun's plans are essentially, and with Aisha and everything. It's really, really cool, really well done. I really love the look of the book. It looks really, really good. It definitely feels like it's a neo-noir. It's a cool continuation of the Blade Runner universe. I think it's really real well done. I would definitely suggest pick this up. I think you can get the trade for 2019 right now. Also, with each of the cover A's, you get these wonderful Peach Makoto covers, which she has been one of my favorite artists in recent years. I'm excited for issue 2 of Demon Days. I think that one's going to be fantastic. And we learn more of what he's wanting to do with what Jotun's plans are, which is really, really interesting. I won't say spoilers. I think I've kind of run into that where I'm I'm not going to talk about spoilers all too much throughout these books. But basically give my first impressions and thoughts on them. Really enjoyed Blade Runner 2099. It's still one of probably my favorite series going on right now. And the issues continuously kill it out of the park. I mean, Origins is awesome too, which having 2 Blade Runner series going at a time, and both of them being really, really well done and executed is awesome. So the next book I read, this one was actually kind of an odd one. I didn't pick up the first issue of this because I wasn't sure. But it was kind of okay because it has a jumping off point. It is Sensational Wonder Woman #2. This one was fun because basically what happens is Diana gets a distress call from Warworld, where Mongol's at. Mongol's kind of like a character created by Jim Starlin, who created Thanos. Very similar to Thanos, but he is kind of this warlord, to say the least, who runs this thing called Warworld, where it's essentially gladiator fights, which is really cool. And we have Artemis, who was part of the Red Hood and the Outlaw team, his team, for a while. And basically what we learned is Artemis kind of tricks Wonder Woman to basically come to this distress signal so she can fight her. But we do learn things here and there. It has a greater purpose. And the fighting, the art, let me pull it up. Let me get the issue ready for you guys real quick. Let me show you. The art is really, really well done, I think, in my opinion. It's really, 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 really well done, in my opinion. I love the art in this book. And also really cool, fighting panels, too, which is really, really well done. But it's really, really cool to see this. I actually have the first issue that I need to read, but I am definitely going to be picking this series up because I do feel like this is definitely kind of an anthology book in the sense of where not necessarily each issue is a different artist or whatever. I will actually have to check because I think these are all the same artist, but I will double check and I'll put the correct thing in below. But yeah, it's definitely a fun book, and you get Artemis, a lot of Amazon kick-ass moments too. So I do definitely enjoy this series, and I would definitely recommend people who, if you are into Wonder Woman right now, a lot of the Wonder Woman stuff is awesome. In recent memory, Immortal Wonder Woman was awesome. The new Wonder Woman book with Yara Flor, it's going to be awesome. Wonder Girl's actually going to be coming out. I don't know when exactly. I think May. I actually have the poster, strangely enough, there, but I don't know when. But yeah, definitely check out Sensational Wonder Woman. I thought it was really, really good and really fun. before we jump into the next book, I feel like the camera's about to cut out on me, so before I talk about my next book that I really enjoyed, I'm going to be right back. Sorry about that. So yeah, with the next book that I got, that I really enjoyed, that I read, a lot of these are out of order, but these are just kind of like in the order of like how I enjoyed them. I pretty much enjoyed all the books that I got on, but others I enjoyed. Then we'll get into the top 3 recommendations that I have. So the next book that I enjoyed was Excalibur number 20. This book is really fun. Like, I know there's a lot of people apparently who don't like this book, but I'm actually really enjoying it, mainly because I love Betsy Braddock and I like the team that is in the book. But basically what we learn is that we learn about Malice. So Malice is this kind of a spirit, like, she is a mutant, but is essentially a sentient being of psychic energy. So, but basically she's kind of like a ghost, essentially, and we kind of learn her origin, a little bit of how she became how she is. And she has like this necklace where basically, if you have it, you are like a target. But we learn like after that, and also Betsy has officially come back out of the death, out of Outer World, completely safe, because she was pretty much jumping from multiverse to multiverse to find the own. But what we learn, she's kind of debriefing with the Quiet Council, make sure everything's okay. Then she talks to Emma. Then we learn that Emma is possessed essentially by Malice. So what basically Betsy and Psylocke are trying to do they're essentially just trying to get Malice basically to Krakoa, essentially, to get into a physical body so she can have a new life on Krakoa, which is very cool and very interesting, because to basically give her a second chance of life, which is really cool. And she did some pretty heinous like kind of stuff. She took over Emma, tried to kill Betsy, but like pretty much after, like, it's a really cool issue. It's essentially just, and a lot of cool, the art is really cool. I love the art continuously in Excalibur, done by the wonderful, if I can find the credit page, is done by Marcus Toe. Toe or two. It is like wonderfully done. But yeah, it was really enjoyable, and it was really kind of cool to see like this kind of story arc of Betsy kind of giving this character who's normally been a villain. She was associated with the Marauders and Nathaniel Essence, aka Mr. Sinister, so it was very cool and interesting to see her like trying to get this to give this essentially a girl who never really got to grow up, essentially have a new life, which is really cool and really well done. I am very interested to see the next kind of story arc, because I felt like this was very much like a kind of palate cleanser from like everything that was going on. You have Betsy back, so it's just kind of a one-shot little story arc, which is fine. I think it's a really good. But I wouldn't be surprised with Hickman being kind of the head of everything if a lot of the stuff that we see in each of these books comes back eventually. But yeah, Excalibur, really great, really fun. I love both Betsy and Psylocke working together. It's probably one of my favorite things, because they are really establishing Quan's character again after being separated from Betsy, and really have like them kind of becoming friends, essentially, or acquaintances, which was really well done. So, my next book, so I got two of these. It is two variants. It is Batman 106 by James Tynion the Fourth. Sorry. And it's really fun. So, basically what we're learning is it kind of picks off where the issue of where we learn that Scarecrow left a Scarecrow essentially in Nakato's house, essentially trying to get like what it is. We learn that there's no fear toxin at all whatsoever on it, so Batman's kind of perplexed. Like he knows it's Scarecrow, but at the same time they kind of figured that Scarecrow died in the Arkham Asylum attack, which is not the case at all, because we know he's in this book. Although that's the thing too, that I don't think they necessarily say it is Jonathan Crane, but basically what we're learning, and we get a little cool, like we get cool dialogue between like Batman and Barbara, Oracle, trying to figure out what the hell's going on within this new an unsafe collective. And it's actually really, really cool too, because we actually get to see Harley kind of becoming a superhero, kind of doing good as of like a hero, which is really, really cool. I love Harley in this book. Like, she is like, I know a lot of people are middle ground. There are people who love Harley Quinn, and there's a lot of people who don't like Harley Quinn. I think the people who don't like Harley Quinn are the people who mainly hate it because she kind of became the Deadpool of DC, but at the same time, she really isn't. She's really well done. Tynan, I think, really writes her really great. And we also get some cool moments with her and Ghostmaker, which is really, really cool. And it's going to be really fun to see how that relationship ends up turning out. And we also get a new character, too, which I can't remember the name of this particular character, but is one of Tynan's new created characters, which is going to be very, very interesting to see. But yeah, it's essentially of, like, what the hell's going on. And we also know, like, that Howard Saint, I believe is his name, if I'm right. Oh, Simon. I think it's Simon. Basically, what we're he's trying to get the Magistrate, Magistrate, I believe, that program that was initially the kind of private police of Gotham, getting it tried to set up in Gotham, and Scarecrow seems to be working with him to do it. It's actually really cool, and we learn about the Uninsane Collective, which is essentially like this crazy group of people who that Batman is going to like. Basically, not integrate, but like he's going to like infiltrate. There we go. I forgot the word for what it is, but it is also really cool because we do get a backup story. We get a backup story of Ghostmaker, which kind of really, like, I know a lot of people, like, I enjoy Ghostmaker for what he is within the previous issues, but this is going to be, it's just really cool because it gives him development of more than just he trained with Batman, along with Batman, when Batman was trained to become, like, the greatest detective. So it's really, really cool. We get a little, like, really cool, he gets a cool, like, kind of little fun, unique, Rogues Gallery, which is really fun. My favorite being the Investigator, which is just literally, I will show a close-up of it eventually. It's just essentially a sentient alligator like Killer Croc, which I think is really, really funny. But this book, like, the backups seem to be really, really fun. I'm very intrigued to see where the story is going to go with Ghostmaker, and I'm very intrigued to see the story going forward with Batman and the Uninsane Collective, which is going to be really, really fun. Tynan keeps knocking it out of the park. I'm really excited. I really love the backup issue, too, of learning about Ghostmaker. I think is really, really cool, giving him more development as a character, of more we can understand from him. So, my next book. So, we are going down to the top 4, really. That was really top 5. But number 2 is Swamp Thing by Ram V, and this book is awesome. Like, it's a really, really fun book. This is my first really true experience with kind of the Swamp Thing mythos. I haven't gotten a chance to read, but within the previous issue, we learned of, like, this wraith, essentially, killing people in Arizona, by the Arizona border. And basically what we learn is Levi, who is the new Swamp Thing, he doesn't know that at this point yet, but basically what's happening is he's going to Arizona, and each night he sees this wraith kill people. And it really, really cool, and it also shows, like, the kind of development of, like, Levi and what happened to his dad, and also kind of, it shows him and learning to accept what he is and the power that he has, which is the green, essentially, which is really, really cool. And we also, the sheriff from the previous issue who saw everything go down, he's basically trying to hunt the wraith down and kill it. But it's really, really cool and really well done. The art is absolutely killer. It really matches the horror kind of body aesthetic, like the body horror aesthetics of like Swamp Thing, of what people would normally think of. My only exposure really to Swamp Thing is really John Constantine's origin story within the Swamp Thing book from Alan Moore. But it is really, really well done. The art is really, really wonderful. Like, it is it's a fun book, that even though this is only a 10-issue mini, I do think it is gonna, like, this book has a lot of cool places to go, the green and everything with Swamp Thing. It's a super interesting concept. It's really right up my alley, so I think this, for people who are into Swamp Thing, or want to get into Swamp Thing, I think this is kind of definitely like a perfect place to do it, because it is a new character, and it's also kind of explores what the green is and everything of what really Alan Moore reinvented the character for. And it also leaves on like a cliffhanger of where two people, one well-known character that everybody loves, I think, or relatively loves, knows about it, and another character who's more of a shady kind of character. So we don't know what the hell's going to go on. I'm very excited to see this series continue. It's been really, really fun. The covers have been amazing too. Very body horror-esque, which like is all I could ever ask for from a Swamp Thing book. So the camera is about to cut out once again. Not really. It's only got 10 minutes, but I just want to cut it short before I jump into the top 3 picks for my books, so I will be right back, y'all. I'm back, guys. So as I said, last 3 books right here. So number 3, my number 3 recommendation, I'm going to be counting down. It is Noctera number 2 from Scott Snyder, Tony S. Daniels, and Tamora Morning. Tomi, I can never pronounce his name. I'm so bad at it. I'm sorry, but this is really, really cool. While the first issue very much is continued to set up the world that this universe is, with the big PM and everything, with Cal, Emery, it's actually really cool, and we learn a little bit more about this whole universe too, which is really, really good, but it also feels like this is where the story is really kicking off too, which is really, really cool. And you get like beautiful visuals in this book too. Like I want to talk about like how beautiful the visual is. Scott Snyder does an excellent job, I think, of writing this book. It's very a unique, different universe comparative to like what he's been working on. Like for example, he just got done with Dark Knight's Death Metal, so it is very different. But it is there is this, you kind of learn stuff about this story. And everything going around with it, and we also learn like this the black man, essentially, not like this man who is like essentially covered in black, like he is literally the man in black, called Blacktop. We learn he's Blacktop Bill, and he's basically allegedly he's like a kind of like a ghost story that people hear about, but like we learn like this old man Augustus, let me try to find it. Is, what's his name? It's like Augustus something. Oh, yep, there, I got it. Is Augustus McCrae, and he has something to do with what happened with the Big PM, which is like, and we learn like there is a way, he roughly knows of a way to basically get rid of the Big PM. Also, Emery, Val's adopted brother, is essentially also dying too because of the infection that is getting in him, that he's becoming a shade. But basically this is a really, really cool issue. It's a really like a lot of dialogue, but then it gets really action heavy at the end, which is really, really cool. The universe that it's setting up is really, really cool and really interesting. Blacktop Bill, I think, is a very interesting character, very kind of like Joker / kind of Batman who laughs kind of aesthetic, in terms of just sinister, not showing up all too much apparently, but I'm very excited to see this story continue. I think it is a unique and interesting world. It's a very, very cool dystopian kind of universe. So, yeah, Noctera 2, I definitely suggest picking this up. I think it is a really, really great book, and I'm going to definitely continue reading it. I actually will probably need to actually put this on my poll, because who knows if this book continues to go up. But it's a really, really great, like, that's the thing, really, really great, awesome creative team at the helm of this book, so very, very excited to see where the story continues with this book. If I can get it in there. There we go. So, my second recommendation for this, and this was actually not on my poll. I was initially not going to pick this up because I thought it was going to be an ongoing, but turns out it's only 4-issue mini, and that is The Batman Second Son. So this is basically explaining the whole origin of Jace Fox, aka Tim Fox, the second brother to Luke, and the other son to Lucius Fox. So this always interests me. Like, the Lucius family is always mainly Lucius Fox, particularly, and even Luke. They are main fixtures of the Bat family, but like for me, I don't know too much about them, so it is really, really cool to see the whole family dynamic within this book. It was kind of showed off, I think, in, oh god, one of the I can't remember, I think it was the Batman book before, really before, like, I think 105, I think, before Future State had kicked off. So But it is really, really cool. We kind of learn of what Jace's background is. Like, he was very much a mercenary, working to kind of take down, essentially, billionaires who he felt didn't deserve it. Which is very, very interesting. And to show, like, kind of like where you're coming from, of where you can see him becoming Batman in the future, because he's very much capable of doing what he needs to be done. But essentially, after this op essentially goes kind of south, Grifter, who was employed by Lucius, essentially comes to get Jace to come home. Then we also learn this is after the AJ attack, and at the point, Luke thinks it's Joker who did the attack, so very much because, of course, he thinks it's Joker because there was the whole Joker war. So it is really cool, and we also learn, we don't know too much about it, but there had been something that happened with Jace and his father when he was a lot younger, and it kind of, like, left a sour, like, it just kind of soured the relationship between Jace and him. So I think it's going to be very interesting going forth. I don't think Jace is going to become Batman at all in this book. I don't think, because I think if this was a future state, like, because usually they said if it's a future state book that's going to continue its run, it'll say it's a future state book. But I think this is more setting Jace up for him being in the main continuity, and him interacting with Batman, because I'm pretty sure you're going to see him interacting with Batman. But yeah, I did love, like, even though it is very much, there is a bit of action, but it's mainly kind of like a family drama book, which is very interesting and very unique. And I think it's really, really done well. John Ridley, who did the next Batman, does a really, really good job, I think, with the dialogue, and I very much recommend this book. This is my second recommendation, and it's just a unique character. I love the idea of introducing these kind of new characters, and also exploring these characters that are well established, that personally I think there may be more information on Lucius, but not that I'm aware of, so it is really cool to explore that family, the dynamic with his family. So yeah, second recommendation, next Batman, Second Son. So, with my last recommendation, and apparently this book has been popping off, it's been going up in price recently, and it wasn't on my poll, but it wasn't until Tony from Mythical Mountain, he actually did a little video to suggest books, and my number one pick, and I have to agree with him, it is Geiger from Jeff Johns and Gary Frank and Brad Anderson. This is the first independent book done, really non-DC book done by Jeff Johns and Gary Frank, but this is essentially this creative team, essentially same creative team who did Doomsday Clock, who did oh my god, what other book? They did Three Jokers. They've done, I think, Batman Year One. They've done a lot of incredible stuff, and of course I start talking, the camera's about to die, so sorry about that. As I said before, the camera was about to die. So Geiger is really, really fun and very interesting. So it is set in this post-apocalyptic universe. Think very much like Fallout, but the difference with Fallout, you have to have a suit to be able to live in this wasteland, which is very interesting. Tarky Geiger is, apparently, we learn about this legend of this man named Tarky Geiger. And basically, it goes back to Boulder City of when this unknown war kicks off. We don't know what exactly kicks off the war. There are hints in here and there, but we really don't know what goes on with the war. And we deal with this man's family trying to get into this bunker to basically be safe. Then their dog, of course, is like barking at something, so he gets the dog, and eventually his neighbors show up to shoot him, essentially to take the bunker, which is just the biggest dickhead move possible. And we learn, luckily, his family gets in there, locks the vault, they're safe. But then we see the bomb go off, and everything is like taken in by it, except for Geiger. Then it shows like this cool, this post-apocalyptic universe. This very much reminds me of Fallout New Vegas, which is not a bad. I think that's not a bad thing at all to say. I think it's really, really good. Then we learn that Geiger had pretty much lived and survived, and he doesn't need a suit to live in the wasteland. Then we learn he is this legend called the Glowing Man. And it's essentially like he has radioactive powers, so it's kind of like a cool throwback to older like superheroes from the 50s and 60s of where a lot of their powers were nuclear based. So like think Spider-Man, the Fantastic Four, they were cosmic rays, but like a lot of the superpower, like even the whole gamma radiation. So it's very much a throwback to that, and it feels very unique. He also has a two-headed wolf dog, which is adorable that he has this dog, but he's very much alone in this universe. Like, he's very much alone in his, because we don't know where his family is at this point. But it is cool because you do a lot of cool world building within this book, and we kind of learn, like, there is a inhabitable place, and let it be known, it is Las Vegas. That is the most inhabitable place, which is like it immediately, and that's actually a cool thing because it is inhabitable, but there are also kind of like tubes connecting it, which I actually didn't realize at first because I thought it was just a regular strip. But there's actually kind of tubes so people don't get in like radiation sickness, which is really, really cool. And it also draws up a map of the kind of the whole the strip, essentially, Las Vegas, of like what's going, like who's who and who's what, and it has like the town has its very own like own kind of like government and dichotomy, very much like Fallout New Vegas. And this is the stuff that makes me love this because it very much reminds me of Fallout New Vegas. A lot of cool, like it's really, really cool. Gary Frank knocks it out of the park with the art, I think. Three Jokers, say what you will about that book, but that book was beautifully drawn, I think. Gary Frank has that really cool kind of style where it is kind of really realistic, but it like looks really, really good. But yeah, I am definitely excited to see this series going forward because I think it is super, super interesting. Of like this man being able, like, it's a cool, fun throwback. It feels very New Vegas. It feels like old kind of radioactive, like even think Radioactive Man from The Simpsons if you think about it. But yeah, that is my #1 recommendation, is Geiger. Fantastic book. It really is only kind of setting up the universe for right now. I feel like the next few issues are going to really set up this kind of universe and do a lot of world building. I think it's really fun, and I'm going to be really, really connected. I'm going to be really hooked on this book, so I'm very, very excited. So yeah, let me show you guys, if I can find it. Oh no, where's my... There it is. So yeah, so to recap, my top picks, we got Noctera, #2 from Scott Snyder. Then we have Batman, Second Son by John Ridley. And then #1, it is Geiger from Jeff Johns. But yeah, that is it for, those are all the books that I read. A lot more books than last week, even though I somehow managed to make that video 30 minutes long. Sorry about that. I'm going to be trying to do these videos a little shorter. So with that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Make sure to hit like and hit subscribe and hit the little bell notifications so you get notified when we upload videos like Mythical Mountain Mondays, What's in the Box Wednesdays, and Figure Review Fridays. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the Jerome review this previous Friday. I had a fun time with that figure. It's really, really cool. Can't wait to see what Jazzware continues to do with the Halo license. Also, check us out on Instagram. Check me out on GVKcollectibles. You actually get to see a little bit of the auction stuff that I did pick up. I will take pictures of that. I need to get a little bit better at that. I'm kind of lacking on that. Also, check out Jack's Pop Guy. Post a lot of cool stuff. Also, check us out on our respective Mercari shops. Have a lot of cool stuff there. And with that being said, I hope your guys' week goes amazing. It goes well, swell, great, safe. And with that being said, peace, y'all.